What is going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Yammy Noob. Today, you are going to learn how to manually change a motorcycle tire. This is a great skill. It's not as hard as you think, and it's going to save you a ton of money in the long run. So in today's video, I'm going to teach you everything I know about changing a motorcycle tire. But before we begin, I've got a special promo for you guys. It's your Papa Yam here with another exciting giveaway. Are you tired of being shackled to the gas pump, constantly refueling and draining your wallet? Well, it's time to break free and achieve your independence this 4th of July. Introducing the Ultimate Riding Season giveaway brought to you by yours truly. For 5 days only, we're giving you the chance to win a $500 gas card. That's right, folks, 500 bucks of pure freedom at the pump. It's super easy to get entered to win. Simply head over to yammynoob.co, pick out anything you want from our site, and you'll be automatically entered. There are no codes required, but the giveaway will only last for this week. Whether you're grabbing some cool riding gear, upgrading your trusty Busa with the Leo Vinci slip-on exhaust, every purchase puts you one step closer to riding with a full tank, all paid for by your sweet Papa Yam. Simple as that. A season of riding gas. That's the kind of freedom we're talking about here, my friends. So what are you waiting for? Head over to our store right now for your chance to achieve true independence from buying gas this riding season. But this is one you don't want to miss. Time is running out. Ride free, my little squids. So I wanted to make today's video because I have often struggled with tire changes. I used to do them way back in the day with the little tire iron method in my old garage back in Dallas, and then I actually had a no-mar tire machine in my shop that I didn't end up using because it was a little too cumbersome and had to be bolted to the ground. And then my friends over at Rabaconda actually sent this tire changer to me for me to just check out. They did not sponsor or pay for this video, but I ended up liking this tire changer so much that I've been telling everybody I know about it, and I just really wanted to make a video about it because I think it's a fantastic product. So we're going to be showing you today how to change your tires using this Rabaconda tire changer because I really do think it's the best of the best. Now, you might be asking, why should I change my own tires? Can't I just pop off the wheels and go to a shop and just they do it for me? Well, yes, you can do that, but you'll see slowly that it will add up over time, costing you a lot of time and money. I've actually gotten a couple quotes around here in my local area, and the going rate for 2 tire changes, just tires, not buying the tires, just the change themselves, is between $80 to $100 to do 2 tire changes. So something like this that I think costs around $500 to $600, if you do 6 tire changes, it pays for itself, and then you have a cool new skill, and then you're probably gonna be hit up by your friends to change their tires for them, and maybe you can start a little tire swapping business, and that would be pretty cool. Now, in order to change your tires, this is a pretty delicate procedure. You wanna make sure you do everything correctly, and you wanna make sure you have the right tools to accomplish the job. Let's look over all the tools we have today, and then let's show you the procedure of how to swap it. All right, so first of all, of course, you do need the wheel and tire combination. I'm not gonna show you guys how to pop this off of your bike. That is bike dependent, and you guys will need to figure out how to do that on your own. The one thing I will recommend is that you pop off the sprocket over here, which this is from the Chinese bike, and it appears to be pretty well in there. So I will pop that off later off camera, which is quite funny. You're also gonna need a tire balancing mount. This over here is a very simple device where you will actually fish this through the axle. You'll push these all the way in, and then you'll balance it right here, and then you're gonna learn how to actually balance the wheel and tire combination. I'm gonna show you guys how to do that later in the video. Moving right along over here, this is the Rabaconda Street Tire Changer. You actually get this all with a kit, with a bunch of cool stuff that actually is gonna be really, really useful because this actually solves for a lot of issues. This is actually a bead breaker and tire mounting system all in one. I'm gonna show you guys how to use that. You get it with the Rabaconda little carrying pack here because this is a mobile system as well. This is the easiest tire changer I've ever used, and it's also mobile. This thing is killer. It's so awesome. In the kit, you're gonna find these little tire mounting helpers over here. You get tire grease as well, very important. We're gonna lean into that a lot today. A very important tool that doesn't come with the kit that you're gonna want is a valve core remover. This is what's actually gonna allow you to remove the little, it's not a Presto valve, that's on a bicycle. I can't remember the name of the valve. Schrader valve, I think that's what it's called. You pop that out, get the air, let all the air out, then you can pop it back in, and it controls the air coming in and out of the tire as it seats onto the bead, which we will explain later on in the video. You're also going to want wheel weights. These are just some simple Motion Pro 1/4 ounce wheel weights. I recommend the 1/4 ounce because they're a little bit more finely tuned. I find that if you use the 1 ounce or 1/2 ounce, it tends to be a little bit too much weight to actually get the wheel and tire balanced. And the last thing you're gonna need, of course, is a tire inflator and a gauge. Now, if you have a big air compressor, it's gonna make this job a little bit easier, but I wanted to kind of limit the amount of specialized tools you would need to do this job. So a simple air pump like this one over here that you buy off of Home Depot is gonna do the job. It's gonna take a little bit longer. And then of course, a tire pressure gauge to make sure you have the pressure all dialed in. Now let's run through the procedure of how to actually get the wheel and tire combination, dismount it. We're gonna learn how to take the tire off of the wheel and then put it back on. Let's go. Super quick aside, I pulled this off of the Chinese bike. I did not prep for this video as well today. The sprocket is actually bolted directly onto the wheel. There is no cush drive. Usually on a motorcycle wheel, you have rubber cush drives and you can wiggle the sprocket free. That actually helps reduce the amount of engagement that the chain has on the sprocket, but the Chinese wheel and tire combo here is just really cheap and there's no cush drive. It's directly bolted onto it. So if that's the case for you, just keep it on, it's fine. But in future cases, you guys should pop that off. So the first step we're gonna do here today is we're actually going to remove the valve core. So you remove the valve stem cap over here. Very simple, same as you would do for checking your tire pressure. You take the valve core remover, you see it has this little notch right there. That's gonna notch into the valve in here, and then you simply undo it. You can hear it already starting to let the air loose. You're gonna want to carefully move it as soon as it's fully loose. Let all that air out of that. Now, with the actual valve over here, you're gonna be very careful with this. This is a very small little part, so you wanna make sure to carefully put it off to the side and make sure you don't lose it. You can get replacement valves at your local auto parts store, but it'd just be a little bit more annoying to have to go somewhere to complete the job. Once the air is out of the tire, one thing I like to do, besides painting graphic images on this rubber, which if you guys missed our Chinese bike painting video, that's why this thing is all painted up, okay? It was not me. I like to just kind of squish it a little bit, just to kind of start helping the rubber seat away from the actual wheel. You'll see why that's important here in just a second. So I like to do it just like that. Now, we're gonna take the wheel, we're gonna come over here, and we're gonna put it right into the spindle here. Move that around just like that. I'm gonna go ahead and remove this. This is gonna be for later. Now I do wanna mention this is not a dedicated how to use product video on this specific machine. I'm just showing you guys that this is my preferred method. I've tried a lot of methods and this is by far the best method I've found. So, first thing we're gonna wanna do is to break the bead. This is actually the thing that seats onto the wheel here. This is a tubeless setup, so there is no tube inside of this tire. You'd see that on a bicycle or something like that. Most motorcycles in a street application run a tubeless setup. So we're gonna go ahead, and all we're gonna do is crank on this. See, we've removed the bead. What you wanna see, we're gonna work the rest of the tire here, but what you wanna see is this edge of the bead actually move away from the edge of the rim here. This is the thing that actually locks it into place once it's pressurized. So now we're gonna work our way around. Just make sure it's completely off of the wheel there. That's feeling pretty good. Nice. Now you're gonna wanna flip the tire around and do it on the other side. Go ahead and flip this. Put it right on there. Sometimes you gotta work on several angles, but it will let loose. And these principles apply to every type of tire change. You know, whether you use this machine or another machine, you're gonna have to break the bead anyways. And there's some dedicated bead breaker tools which are pretty cool, but again, the reason I like the Rabaconda is because it's all in one system. Now, as you see, I've broken the bead on both sides of this wheel. And now we're ready for step number 2. All right, so the next step is gonna take your wheel blocker tool over here for the Rabaconda. Just place it right in here, and you guys are gonna see how this is gonna work in just a moment. This is the thing that's going to prevent the wheel from spinning as we dismount the tire from the rim. Now, the next big step is this magnificent tool that they make. This is called the duck head. And you'll notice if you've ever seen a automated tire changer, this is basically the same setup. This basically works exactly like a automated tire changer, but just manually. So what you do is you take this, you stretch this out down here a little bit, get it towards the edge of the rim there. See how this is now attached on the edge of the rim there? We're gonna tighten this down here a little bit. Now, once the duck head is in place, what you're gonna wanna do is take a tire iron, take it from the side that's a little scooped here. You're actually gonna get it into the wheel here, get it underneath the rubber. Once you've got a bite on it, what we're gonna do is we're gonna pull this and secure it into place in this little lip over here to get us started. So we'll go ahead and crank this back. Super easy. And then, boom. Now that pretty much has started our process. And if you guys have ever changed tires manually with the tire irons, this is the hardest part, is actually getting it off, getting it back on, not chewing anything up. But watch how easy this is. This is what absolutely sold me on this product. So we've got it started here with the tire iron. And now, as I mentioned, we're just gonna start cranking on it. Tire iron comes out. Bead number 1 is loose. Literally that easy. When I first did this, I was just laughing to myself at how easy this was. I've struggled with tire changes for years. I used to do it on my old Daytona, in my garage, in the heat. Used to take hours, just because I was too cheap to go change tires. It's hilarious. Now we're gonna do the same thing for the bead back here. We're gonna take our tire iron, feed it through here, find the second bead. Found it right there. I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm just gonna fish it over the lip, lock it into place, then just do the exact same thing. Tire iron's probably gonna move out of the way for us. Tire's off. How easy is that? I tell you, this thing is amazing. I'm trying not to sound like a salesman, but I love this machine so much. It's so good. So now that this rim is detached from this tire, we're actually gonna use the same tire to put it back on because I don't have a fresh tire to put on the Chinese bike and it doesn't really deserve a fresh tire. So let's figure out how we get this tire back onto this rim. But what I like to do is take a little bit of tape and mark the orientation of the tire. When a tire goes onto a rim, it has an orientation. It needs to spin in the right direction for the tread pattern over here. If you put it on opposite, it's not to say that it won't work. It might feel a little bit weird and the water is gonna disperse in a way that's not natural. So what I like to do is I like to observe the motorcycle, observe the tire, observe the wheel, and determine the orientation. And I like to put it on the middle of the wheel so that it doesn't come off whenever I'm actually mounting it. So this is the drive side of the motorcycle with the sprocket, as you can see here. That's gonna be on the left-hand side of the bike. So I already know that this needs to spin this way. So I'm gonna go ahead and put an arrow here that says the orientation of the tire needs to be this way. And you'll see here that on this Bridgestone S22, if we look on the tire, we can usually find a nice little arrow that indicates to us which way. You can see here, it says rear use only, and there's an arrow pointing that way. So that means that this tire needs to go in this orientation so that the arrow is going the same way. So now we have this going this way, and so we're gonna mount this tire like this. But we're not quite done just yet. One very important thing you wanna do when mounting a wheel and tire combination is you actually want to find the heaviest part of the tire and line it up with the valve. And why is that? Well, it's going to make balancing the tire a whole lot easier if you try to put all the weight on one side, because then you're going to counterbalance it with weight on this side and make the whole thing nice. So I like to move the valve closer to the bottom here and then line it up with the heaviest part of the tire. And the way you determine that is every tire is going to have a dot on it. Obviously this tire is drawn on it a bunch, but if you see right here, this dot is from the manufacturer, letting you know this is the heaviest part of the tire when it was manufactured. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to get this dot as close as I can to this valve right here, so that when we get this mounted up and we get it to be on the mounting stand, it will be much easier to balance this tire. All right, the next crucial step you're going to want to do is to lubricate your new tire. Now, as I mentioned, we're using the same tire, so don't worry about it. But I used to skip this step back in the day when I used to do this by myself in like 2015 and 16. But tire grease is like, it's like God's greatest gift to changing tires. You literally cannot use too much of this stuff, and you can just wipe it off and clean it when you're done, and it makes everything so much easier. So be pretty deliberate with this stuff, man. Get in there and just coat the inner rim of the tire. You obviously do not need to put grease on the actual rubber side down of the tire, because that's not going to do you any good. But just go ahead and put nice amounts of grease all along the edges of the tire here, on the rim itself. You see here I've put another sticky just to remind myself of the orientation of this tire. Very important. So you go ahead and put that on there. You want to do both sides pretty liberally. The Rabiconda kit actually comes with this little brush and the grease, which is cool, but you can order this kind of stuff online. I have a second set of this at home because I have done a couple tire changes at my home garage, which is pretty cool. So we've got that pretty lubed up, which is sweet. Go ahead and put this off to one side over here. Now, we know our tire orientation, we know where it's going. Nothing to it but to do it. We're going to remove the duck head here because it's going to make this process a little bit easier. Going this way, going this way. The first actual mounting is pretty easy. You can usually push it on, which is cool. Make sure to line up the dot close to the valve stem. Doesn't need to be exactly on it, just needs to be near it. And then what you're going to want to do is just using that grease. You can see how easily that slipped on. Just go ahead and keep pushing it a little bit. It should eventually just slide right on. If you grab this right here, make the process a little bit easier. Go ahead and put it right there. There we go. Required a little more mechanical persuasion than I thought, but that's no issue. We're then going to take the duck head and we're going to use it in reverse as we used it previously. So I'm going to go ahead and install it onto here, get it underneath the tire and the wheel combination. Just like that. You're going to want to seat this rubber over the duck head. Just like that. Now you can tell this is close to the valve, we're good there. This is over the wheel and the underneath the tire over here, which is cool. Now what we're going to do is we're going to crank on this in the same direction, but we're going to use these over here to help us out. So if you guys have ever changed your own tires, this is really where the magic starts happening. So we're going to go ahead and just get this started a little bit here. I'm going to go ahead and grab one of these to help me out a little bit. This is going to seat on the rim over here. Put that on just like that. We may or may not need this second one. We're about to see. Oh, it came off. Helps if it's actually on there, folks. So we'll tighten that down, bring this back. Looks like we might need a little bit of help over here, just to make sure that this stays in place. Push that on the rim. And this is the moment of truth. This is where I have always struggled with tire changes. This last little bite over here. And when I did this the first time, fireworks went off in my head. This is amazing. Watch this. You ready? Boom. Seated. I didn't even break a sweat, guys. It's on there. That's it. That's the hardest part of changing a tire, usually. But with this kit, it makes it so much easier. It's insane. It's absolutely crazy. Now, orientation is in the right direction. Our heaviest point is near our valve. We are good to go here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna clean up the tire grease a little bit, remove our stickers, put the valve back in, air it back up, and talk you guys through that a little bit. All right, so that tire is now mounted back on there, which is cool. We're going to grab the valve, tiny little thing there, and the valve core tool. Put this back into the hole there. Take the valve core tool and go ahead and tighten that. Now you really don't need to apply a ton of pressure and torque on this. Just finger tight is good. It's really not gonna go anywhere. It doesn't have any load bearing or anything like that, so you don't need to do anything. And one more little tip I wanted to give you guys is if you're having trouble dismounting or mounting a tire, just put it outside in the heat for like an hour, let it warm up. Warm rubber is always easier to work with than cold rubber, but if you have enough tire grease, it usually isn't a big deal. So now we've got the valve back in. We're gonna go ahead over here and we're going to grab our tire inflator, which again, if you have a fast air compressor, you can just shove air into this and the beads will set and pop. What you don't have to worry about is the tire sort of flying off the wheel, doing anything crazy like that. It's pretty rare for that kind of pressure to affect your tire in that way. So what I like to do is I just like to make sure that the tire is just nice and seated on this rim. Give it a couple bounces in case it's just lodged in a weird way. And then we're gonna start sending air into this tire and we're gonna wait quite a bit of time because this little tire pump is pretty small. So we're gonna grab it, attach it onto here. Like setting it down here. And what we're waiting for are two big pops. Like I mentioned, you're not gonna feel, you shouldn't be anywhere near the tire while it's doing this. But what's gonna happen is this tire is gonna seat against this rim on one side and the other side. You're gonna hear a pop and then a pop. Once that's good, then you know the tire is ready to be balanced. And then we're gonna show you that step. So I'm gonna turn this on. I'm gonna spare you guys the probably 5 to 10 minutes it's gonna take to actually blow up. But if we can capture the pops, we're gonna give it a shot. Almost, yep. All right, I've inflated the tire a pretty good amount. I'm about to check the pressure. All right, we are at 33 PSI, which is perfect. I'm gonna go ahead and grab my cap back over here. I'm gonna go ahead and put this on again. And now we're gonna move on to balancing this wheel and tire combination. You can get a variety of different tools for this. I have this Nomar balancing stand over here. All you need to do is just to have something level where you can balance the tire and it can move freely. All right, so what you do now is let the wheel kind of spin. If this is our heaviest point, we're trying to figure out what the heaviest point is gonna be. Usually it is where the valve is, but it can be pretty different sometimes. As you can tell, this is rotating quite a bit. Looks like it's finding this point, as I suspected, to be the heaviest point. I usually like to grab the valve and move it to the side here and see what it does as it falls. Now, weirdly enough, the valve is here to the side and it's not moving. I doubt it's perfectly balanced, but this is basically, yeah, see, it's starting to move up. This process can be a little tedious, but what you're gonna wanna do is just wait until you find the heaviest point and it's gonna settle at the bottom somewhere, okay? Once you find that heaviest point, let's say it's here at the valve, you wanna counteract it with the same amount of weight up here at the top. And then what you do is you rotate it here 90 degrees and you see if it moves up or down. If it were to move up, you'd know that there's more weight over here, you need to add some weight over here. If If it moves the other way, then vice versa. So a little bit of a tedious process. We're gonna do it off camera for you guys, get this thing perfectly balanced, and then that's pretty much it. We'll wrap up this video. All right, we've got the wheel balanced, our new tire put back on. I'm gonna go ahead and loosen these conical holders here for the wheel on the balancer. Go ahead and pop that off. Remove that. And then as I mentioned, you'll just take a microfiber, whatever you want. If there's any grease left over, you can clean that off, which a lot of shops don't do. So you'll get yourself, you know, nice and degreased there on the wheel. It's actually a great opportunity to clean your wheel if you have it completely off like that. Go ahead and clean both sides of it, get that grease fully off, make sure there's no grease on the tire itself. And congratulations, you have just mounted and installed and balanced your very own wheel and tire combination. Again, guys, this is a great thing you can do. It saves you a ton of time and money, and you can flex on all your friends. So thanks again to our friends over at Rabbit for sending us the tire changer. This video is not sponsored by them, but if you want to support the channel, click the link down below and check out their products on Amazon. You can get a nice little affiliate income for us, which is pretty cool. We're gonna go ahead and install this back on the bike, and yeah, like I said, you know, the install procedure on your machine is gonna be different, so I don't wanna cover that in today's video. If you enjoyed what you've seen today, hit that link down below and check out YamiNoob.co. Check out our July 4th extravaganza. You're not gonna wanna miss it. We'll catch you guys in the next one. See you later.
Brother, I was just like you once before. I remember I was a squid. I was doing terrible things on the street, but then I found YamiNoob, and I kept watching YamiNoob, and that made me feel better. And when I got better, I stopped doing terrible things on my H2 back here. So I implore you, keep watching YamiNoob. Click subscribe. Watch the next video. I'm trying other